Among the most formidable predators that ever roamed our planet was the Spinosaurus, a carnivorous dinosaur that stalked the shores of ancient rivers and lakes. But like all dinosaurs, it would eventually go extinct. But recent discoveries have revealed that this extinction may not have been its fault at all. Hi, it's me, and this is my channel. And to understand how one of the largest carnivores in history disappeared, we have to rewind time to when our planet was ruled by dinosaurs. As far as we know, the first dinosaurs appeared about 230 million years ago during the Triassic period. From there, they would rule over the planet for the next 165 million years until their extinction at the end of the Cretaceous period, which I talk about a lot on this channel. But the truth is that not all dinosaurs were giants. Spinosaurus wasn't the biggest or longest living dinosaur. It was also not the fiercest or most intelligent. Yet despite being just medium-sized, it managed to survive the Triassic-Jurassic extinction event that wiped out some of the planet's biggest species before going extinct itself at the end of the Cretaceous. But the strange thing is that no fossil evidence points to a mass extinction happening at the end of the Cretaceous for other large carnivores such as the T-Rex or C. megalodon. So why did this dinosaur get wiped out while others didn't? Well, recent discoveries show us that it wasn't the Spinosaurus' fault. Instead, its extinction was caused by an enemy unlike any other. A secret enemy that has been hiding from us for millions of years. This cinematic documentary is brought to you with the support of my patrons. You can learn more about them by visiting my support page. In 2018, paleontologists working in North Africa made an incredible discovery. They had been excavating at the Oulad Abd El Gaour site in Morocco for several months when they uncovered a fossil that turned out to be the skull of a young Spinosaurus. The skull was mostly intact, but what really caught the team's attention was a series of holes scattered across the top. At first, the team assumed that the skull had been damaged by scavengers after the Spinosaurus died. But as they continued their work, they realized that the holes were actually too smooth and uniform to have been caused by scavenging. What they discovered was that these holes were actually made by teeth. These weren't the teeth of some huge predator that wanted to eat the Spinosaurus. These were much smaller, belonging to creatures that were only a fraction of the size of the dino. Teeth like these belonged to something called a multituberculate. These were small, shrew-like creatures that lived during the age of the dinosaurs and were ancestors to modern mammals. The team knew exactly what they were dealing with just based on these teeth alone. That is because they have studied hundreds of sites where these creatures lived and have become very familiar with their dental structure. And they knew that these teeth had belonged to animals that had lived alongside dinosaurs for millions of years, quietly surviving while the dinosaurs roamed around. But these little animals weren't completely harmless. In fact, some species were vicious little killers, preying on other animals that shared their habitat. But their favorite food was apparently eggs. They would wait until adult dinosaurs laid their eggs, and then patiently guard the nests until the parents left. When the coast was clear, they would use their teeth to smash open the eggs and devour the contents. And there is plenty of evidence that this is what happened to the baby Spinosaurus. Since 2009, more than 100 fossilized teeth have been found at the same site where the skull was found, indicating that many multituberculates lived here and hunted dinosaurs. But this discovery does raise a lot of questions. For one thing, how could these tiny creatures prey on giant dinosaurs? The answer to this question is pretty simple. They didn't attack adult dinosaurs, they only attacked their eggs. Full-grown Spinosaurus could reach lengths of up to 15 meters and weigh about 7 tons. It was around the size of a Tyrannosaurus rex, but it looked very different. Its head was narrow and pointed like a crocodile's, and it had a long neck. This dinosaur wasn't built for speed. It was built for ambushing. It spent most of its time waiting near bodies of water for a large animal to come close enough for it to attack. Once it got close enough, it would snatch its prey and pull it into the water where it would drown. This is what most fossils tell us about the Spinosaurus, that it was a ferocious hunter. But the truth is that, like today, hunting wasn't the only way to survive back then. Some animals preferred to gather, and the dinosaurs were no exception. There is strong evidence that the Spinosaurus, along with other large carnivores, engaged in nesting behavior. Scientists aren't sure exactly how this worked, since the vast majority of dinosaur nests have been found in Asia and are thousands of miles away from where the Spinosaurus lived. But they do know that Spinosaurus nested near water, like all crocodiles today, and that it probably took care of its young like most birds do. Even though these dinosaurs were enormous, they still had to take care of their children. And this meant that sometimes they had to leave their nest unguarded. But it also meant that these little dinosaurs grew up knowing what it felt like to be hunted. And scientists believe that this may have made them better hunters. After all, if you grow up surrounded by predators, you have to adapt and become one of them, or become their prey. So it makes sense that this dinosaur became one of the best hunters of all time. But being so good at hunting also meant that it left itself vulnerable to ambush. As the scientists who discovered the skull and teeth explained, nesting is risky business. If you build a nest in a safe place, your offspring will be vulnerable to predation. If you build a nest in a dangerous place, you run the risk of being attacked yourself. So finding the perfect nesting spot was crucial for the survival of the species. But for the Spinosaurus, there was no perfect spot. No matter where they tried to build their nest, it was always vulnerable to attack. And this is where the mammal-like creatures came in. It turns out that the ancestors of modern mammals had been spying on the dinosaurs for millions of years, waiting for their moment to strike. And that moment was the egg. While the dinosaurs were busy hunting for food or trying to avoid being hunted themselves, these creatures would sneak into their nests and eat their eggs. And there is a lot of evidence to support this theory. For example, there have been numerous cases of dinosaurs being found with eggs inside of their stomach contents. This suggests that the dinosaurs were eating each other's eggs, which means that they were under attack. But the damage didn't stop there. Sometimes these little animals didn't just steal the eggs, they killed the dinosaurs as well. Their small size allowed them to sneak into the craziest places, and their sharp teeth meant that they could defend themselves against any predator. It is likely that they would ambush dinosaurs in their nests, biting their legs and ankles until they bled to death. But it wasn't just the dinosaurs that suffered at their hands. Sometimes these creatures would invade the nests of other animals that shared their habitat, such as turtles. But these weren't stupid animals. They quickly learned that the best way to protect their young was to lay more eggs than they thought they needed to. That way, some of them would make it to adulthood no matter what these small creatures did. And as time went on, the turtles and dinosaurs began working together to combat the threat. The two groups formed alliances, protecting each other's young and driving the mammal-like creatures away. But this fragile peace wouldn't last forever. As the Cretaceous period drew to a close, the mammal-like creatures became bolder and more aggressive, launching attacks against adults as well as eggs. The reason for this change is unknown, but it may have been due to the changing climate. As the planet began to warm, more food became available, and the animals grew larger and more aggressive. Whatever the reason, the dinosaurs could not keep up. Despite their efforts to protect their young, the mammal-like creatures proved to be too much for them. They kept attacking their eggs, and their numbers kept dwindling. In the end, the dinosaurs went extinct. Not because of an asteroid, not because of volcanic activity, but because of the small things. Some scientists say that this might have been the ultimate mistake of the dinosaurs. Had they embraced the gathering lifestyle earlier, they might have been able to hold off the mammal-like creatures for longer. But the truth is, the gathering isn't in a dinosaur's nature. They were born to hunt, and they were good at it. But in the end, it was their hunting skills that led to their downfall. Today, the descendants of these small creatures live among us. They're furry, they have mammary glands, and they can be anything from mice to blue whales. The point is that the dinosaurs inadvertently helped pave the way for the rise of mammals. If they hadn't done that, we might not be here today. Thanks for watching. If you want to help me make more videos, you can check out my support page. And if you want to see more from me, you can follow me on social media.